Welcome to Prepared Enough, a podcast for moms who want to lighten the mental load of motherhood and create homes where kids can thrive. I'm your host, Natasha Mila, former teacher, mom of four, and firm believer that a well-prepared home can do a lot of the heavy lifting for you. During each episode, we'll explore simple ways to design organized, intentional spaces and rhythms that build your child's responsibility and bring more ease into your day. So if you're ready to create a home that works with you and not against you, you're in the right place. Hit follow and let's get started. Hey, hi, hello, everybody. Today we are going to get a tiny bit into talking about meal planning and cooking for a family. But before we move forward, I just wanted to say two things. One, thank you for being here and listening to this podcast. It is certainly a labor of love to create, and I do it because I just hope that each episode reaches just one person who might need it. And yeah, so just thank you for your support listening in on today's episode. And then also, I just wanted to invite you to become a paid supporter over on Substack. It's super easy to do, and it costs you only like $3 a month if you wanted to do it. Each month I open up my video camera, aka my phone, as a thank you, and show you a space in our home and talk about why we organize it the way we do. So last month's paid supporter video was our snack cabinet space. And so I know a snack cabinet is kind of related to what we're talking about today. So I thought I'd mention it here in case it was something you were interested in. And the funds from those paid supporter subscriptions are a way to keep these podcasts coming to you for free. So thank you in advance for supporting this space as a whole. And yeah, the monthly videos are kind of like a small little thank you for your big support. Okay, let me start by saying I hate meal planning and cooking. I hate both of them. I don't really hate it, but like if I could Aladdin style wish for like one thing from the genie in the bottle, there is a good chance that it might be a personal family chef who did all of the meal planning, prepping, and cooking, and just like constantly supplied me and our family with nutritious and delicious meals and prepared snacks. Yeah, but I mean, I don't hate it, but I do sometimes just wish that food was like a little less of a percentage of my entire existence. But slowly over the past like 10 years, I've kind of just forced myself into believing that being in the kitchen is just who I am now. I am Betty Crocker. I am Ina Garten. Far from either of those people, but I have to kind of like pretended to take on their identities. And while I still cannot cook a good steak, I will keep leaving that up to my husband. I will, and I am a good enough cook for my family, so that's fine. I do think that healthy food is important, and I am like the person that's providing it in our family, so I do take it kind of seriously in the kitchen, but I just don't love it. You know, it's just not my favorite thing to do. So that's fine. Anyway, but because I've kind of like placed it as an importance in our family and just accepted the fact that I have to be Betty Crocker sometimes, I've been able to look at cooking and meal planning with like a little bit more of a positive perspective. So here we are, being in the kitchen and not entirely hating it. I've also made things easier for myself, so that's kind of what I'm here to talk to you about today. So I feel like I'm really not the person to talk to you if you're looking for like a perfectly organized meal planning system that gives you an exact plan. Like, I am not rigid when it comes to food. I am, in fact, quite a moody eater, so I need options. So if you are looking for like a more flexible way to feed your family that is good enough, healthy enough, listen on, friend. That's who I am. That is what we're going to talk about today. The daily category meal planning system has never worked for our family. Why? Because we don't eat enough and we just have too many leftovers. So maybe one day the whole like Taco Tuesday, Flatbread Friday, et cetera, type of meal planning might work for us. I've really wanted it to work for years because it just sounds satisfying to my brain to be like, on Tuesdays, we have some sort of taco rendition. But it hasn't worked. And unfortunately, we've just ended up with too many leftovers. And often I feel like leftovers are really good the next day, but they just aren't really that great like 4 days later. So having like a designated leftover day has also just never been something that I've been a fan of. So for the rest of this episode, I'm just going to share like a big picture overview of kind of what we do for meal planning in our house. I'm not going to dive too deep into any of the details of the meals themselves, like recipe-wise or anything like that, but I will share a few resources and a few favorites of our recipes for the most part, just think of this as like a longer explanation of our personal meal planning system-ish. So this is what works for us, and maybe you'll find a few things that work for you. This is what works for us right now, being a mom. Me being a mom who doesn't include cooking on her passion list. And in this season of life with 6 family members, 4 of whom are 6 years old and under. So yeah, we have a lot of little kids that don't eat like an excessive amount of food yet and stuff. So this is kind of, these meals are working for us. I feel like at some point in my life, they're going to have to double, but here we are. Okay, so our general weekly meal planning involves me planning for 5 meals each week, knowing that we might only need 4 of them. So this means like one of the meals needs to include food that won't really perish, like think pre-made freezer meal or like something like grilled cheese or anything made with like staples that you already have on hand and typically carry in your cabinets or refrigerator. So what our 5 meals consist of are 3 different things. So they'll be like either freezer meals, easy meals, or sub-in meals. So those are kind of the 3 categories: the freezer meals, easy meals, and sub-in meals. Not like a sub sandwich. We'll talk about it. Okay, so freezer meals we're going to talk about first. So all you real cooks, don't cringe. I have found some really good recipes, and recently I have been using recipes from 2 resources that are both really good resources. So, as any recipes go, you're going to have to find your family's favorites, but we have loved these 2 resources for the most part. So the 2 resources that I'm talking about are for freezer meals specifically. And one is the Family Freezer Resources by Kelly McNellis, and I'm going to link to these. And when I purchased her things, they were like in PDF form a while ago, and they weren't in a membership site. Now she has them in a membership site, but it's only like a one-time fee. It's not like a monthly fee or anything. So it's like you just pay and you have access to all these recipes. So I don't know exactly how she has them organized in there, but I'm sure they're the same recipes and they're wonderful. They're my favorite ones. So that's our number 1 resource. And then the second resource is This Crafty Home. She has like a ton of freezer meal guides. She has seasonal ones, I think like a fall, spring, winter, summer kind of guides. And again, I snatched these up a while ago, so I don't know if mine look a little different, but they do honestly look exactly the same. So I feel like they're probably pretty much identical. And then we have a couple other recipes that we've gathered from who knows where throughout the years and tossed in here and there, but I'll type up. One of my personal favorites is a beef stew recipe, and it's for the slow cooker. So I'll attach that in PDF form to the show notes over on Substack. But yeah, so those are our 2 favorite resources for finding recipes for the freezer. If you don't want to just be like searching online, those are really, really great ones to consider. And then the freezer meals I like to make are in one of 4 categories. So they're in 4 categories, but each one is one. Okay, obviously. Okay, my favorite is a crock pot dump meal. So these are where you just shove everything that goes into the meal into a Ziploc bag. You freeze the Ziploc bag flat, and then you thaw it and dump it in the crock pot and cook. And I love that it makes the entire house smell delicious. And honestly, you'll never feel more like Superwoman than when you have dinner in the slow cooker before lunch. So those are my favorite. I love a good slow cooker meal. Another category is like a casserole of sorts. These are great because you can often find recipes that are like cook from frozen casseroles. So if you forget to like pull meat or something like that, you can just toss in one of your freezer casseroles and voila, you have dinner for the night. So, but what I don't love about these is that I prefer to use my glass. Well, first of all, we don't make these ever in the summer in our house because we don't have air conditioning. So we try not to use our stove. Because it just really heats up the house, But otherwise, but we have 3 other seasons of the year. So, for the most part, these are fine. But what I don't love about these is that I prefer to use my glass 9x13 pans. That's just what we have. And then we have like 1 metal one or whatever. And I do have 3 glass pans and 1 metal one. But I just don't love to have all of them in the freezer, because you never know when you want to just use it for like a quick meal or something. So I just can't have too many of these types of casserole dishes stored up. So yeah, it's fine. And you can always use the tin throwaway pans or whatever, but I just feel like those are unreasonably expensive for what they are. And I also don't love the way that like casserole dishes always turn out. They're fine enough, they're good enough, but sometimes even if you're covering it for the most part and then just taking the tinfoil cover off at the end, the noodles are just sometimes hard on the top and soggy in the middle, even if you cooked it the correct way. But casserole dishes certainly have their place. A third category is a sheet pan dinner. So we've got crock pot dumps, we got casseroles, and we got sheet pans. Now, sheet pan dinners, I like these two. They're very similar to a crock pot dump where you're thawing it a lot of times and then you're just dumping it onto a pan, a baking sheet, and cooking it in the oven. So it's very similar to a crock pot meal. You're just putting it into the oven instead. So yeah, those are good too. I don't know, crock pots just make everything taste so much good and the meat's always much more moist and sorry, I know people hate that word. Okay, anyway, the last category then is a stovetop pan dump and cook. So again, just like a sheet pan dinner, but on the stovetop instead. So you've got, so again, you're just like storing it in a bag, thawing it and dumping it into a stovetop pan to cook and cooking it up for dinner. So you've got those 4 kind of categories of freezer meals. So you got your crock pot slow cooker dumps, you've got your casseroles, you've got your sheet pan dinners, and you've got your stovetop pan dinners. So the most important thing about freezer meals is that you double them when you make them. So you make one for dinner and one for the freezer. So it's not like you're making freezer meals in preparation like all of the time, like ahead of time, you're not like preparing 7 freezer meals for your freezer and then pulling them out every so often. Obviously you can do this, but I personally, the reason I like freezer meals is because I either will be pulling it straight from my freezer or I will be making it for dinner and freezing one for later. So it's like you just made one larger meal for dinner and then happened to make yourself leftovers for another night. It's great. So that's why I like freezer meals. And then the other great part about freezer meals is that you can use up a lot of your fresh food and like preserve it, quote unquote, I suppose, for later. Like you won't be wasting half of the peppers by letting them just rot in your fridge because you only needed like one or something for a recipe and you just left it in the refrigerator and never got around to chopping it up just to eat, I'll just use all 3 that come in the pack and add them to the doubled freezer meal and call it a day, So you can use up a lot of like fresh vegetables and stuff like that a lot nicer by making a doubled meal. Anyway, long story short, actually yummy freezer meals are my jam and I love them. So those are my favorite kind of meals. And moving on. So again, I say freezer meals, but sometimes they are actually fresh, but I'm just doubling it. So I'm like, one will go in the freezer for later. And usually I try to like make one freezer meal during the week and then like pull one from frozen during the week so that you're kind of cooking a little bit less each week, Okay, moving on to the other type of meal that we use for our weekly planning, and this is easy meals or like quick and easy meals or something. These are like easy meals, not the ones that you look up and try like recipes that you would look up to try and they just like say on the top, like here are 10 easy meals because they feel like sometimes they're not actually that easy. These are, when I say easy meals, these are the ones that you don't have to use a recipe for and you can just like quick make it off the top of your head. They're like your go-to meals that you make all the time. So I feel like definitely you have some of these, even if you think you don't, at least you have like frozen pizza, right? Stuff like that. So I'm going to tell you 9 of our favorites, and these are literally like the only ones that I have listed as our easy meals, and we just shuffle through them and make like 2 of these a week. So we have, these are our 9 favorites. So we have like a kielbasa or a chicken and veggie stir fry, and sometimes we use rice with that. But that's super easy. We just make it on the stovetop, add all the veggies in. Sometimes I use fresh veggies. Sometimes I just use like the veggies that are in the freezer at Costco. They have like a big bag of like stir fry mixed vegetables, and it's very affordable and everything's just like ready to go for you. Second meal is Sloppy Joes. I often double this recipe and store some in the freezer, so it's a super easy meal another day. So technically this could probably be considered a freezer meal, but it is just like, I have it listed under our easy meals because it is just really easy. And we do have a really good Sloppy Joe recipe. Maybe I'll have to share it with you guys one day. I'm already giving you the beef stew, so I won't like overwhelm you with information. Okay. Obviously, there's your go-to frozen pizza and just purchasing a bag salad from the store. That's great. Easy meal. Some rendition of fourth one would be some rendition of grilled cheese and tomato soup. So like you can pick like you can fancy this up. Like you can make your own tomato soup if you really want, or something like this, which actually I'm going to try to make our own tomato soup this year with some of our tomatoes from the garden and see what comes of it. I don't know. I have not looked up a recipe or anything yet, so I'm kind of late to the game. I would like to do this more next year though, because I feel like we eat this all the time and it would just be nice, like an easy thing for us to use up some tomatoes for. So if you have a good recipe, send my way. For sure. Anyway, some rendition of grilled cheese and tomato soup. So you could fancy up the grilled cheese, like add some spinach or avocado or chicken or sausage or anything on those, ham, whatever. You can put different kinds of seasonings on it. You can doctor up your tomato soup, all that jazz. So, you can just make some sort of rendition of grilled cheesy or like a grilled sandwich and a soup. I guess I should say that, a grilled sandwich and a soup, because sometimes we don't even, I guess it technically always does have cheese, but it's like cheese and meat and soup. Okay, a fifth easy meal is spaghetti, right? Spaghetti and meatballs or spaghetti and ground beef. We like to use the bag of Costco Kirkland brand of frozen meatballs. That's our favorite. Again, you can doctor this up. You can make it with fresh tomatoes. You can make it from a jar, like a spaghetti sauce jar, whatever. Sixth meal, our favorite sixth meal, easy meal, is chicken quesadillas. You can use rotisserie chicken, leftover chicken, whatever it may be, and then whatever smorgasbord of vegetables that you have to use up in your refrigerator, toss them on there. Our seventh favorite meal is smorgasbord flatbreads. Do you like the smorgasbord theme here? We like to use up random things with a lot of these easy meals because otherwise they just sit in your refrigerator and they go bad. So smorgasbord flatbreads, I just also cut up whatever vegetables we are not using and then use whatever meat we had. Like usually we have leftover chicken of some sort. So I feel like, because my husband eats chicken for lunches, so I feel like we always have like 1 or 2 chicken breasts to use. So yeah, that's another one. And I like to just like occasionally I'll just buy the flatbread if we know we're having it that week, but I do like to store flatbread in the freezer if I can remember to do that. But yeah, I feel like we get flatbreads at Aldi and they just have a really early expiration date. It's not like they don't last very long. So anyway, an eighth favorite meal is smorgasbord tater tot casserole. That's the last smorgasbord, I swear. But yeah, this is super easy. You literally just put like meat, vegetables, and tater and like cream of mushroom soup together and mix it up. And cheese, sorry. Oh no, actually I don't even put cheese in it. Yep, I just use meat, vegetables, and cream of mushroom soup, spread that on the bottom of a 9 by 13 inch pan, put tater tots on, like a whole bag of tater tots on the top of that, and then add cheese to the top of that. So whatever meat you have to use it, or get some like a pound of ground beef. And I like to do this if we don't have any leftovers to use up. Sometimes we do, but if we don't have any leftovers to use up, the easy way to do this is to use 1 pound of ground beef, 1 can of cream of mushroom soup, and then a frozen bag of mixed vegetables. Super easy. And then the tater tots and the cheese on top. So that's it. That's a super easy meal. And then our 9th and last easy quick meal is called Aldi soup. And I feel like this was actually one of our sub-in meals that I then added to this list. So it was like a reel that my husband sent me on Facebook, and it was a super easy soup to make, and it all had ingredients from Aldi, and it was very easy to make and very delicious, actually, I thought. So we added that to I added that to our easy meals. My family just doesn't really love soups per se, but I do. I really like soups. Anyway, okay, so that's it. Quick and easy go-to meals. Now, the last category of meals that I put on our meal plan each week is called sub-in meals, I guess. I mean, that's just what I'm calling it right now today. I don't ever actually call it that out loud. But these are recipes that I find or that like my husband or someone recommends to me in like Facebook reel form, or like I go to somebody's house and I'm like, ooh, what was that? Like that was really good, And it always is something that is easy and delicious. Like if they have weird ingredients that I can't, or looks delicious, I should say, because, a lot of times I don't know what they taste like. But if it has like weird ingredients that I can't buy at Aldi or Costco, it's a rarity that I'm going to try to make this meal, because I don't want to have to like go to multiple stores if I want to add this to my regular shopping list, So we are in a time saving season of life, like not an experiment for fun season. So one day maybe, but I do not have a list of like favorites here, because these would be considered like new to me meals. And then if we loved them, I'd add them to our like freezer meal list if they could be frozen, or our easy meal list. So the Aldi soup, like I said before, actually came from a sub-in meal. But anyway, I only sub in meals like once in a while, and it's not an every week kind of thing. So I basically pick 4 to 5 meals of either freezer meals or some rendition of our easy meals, and I occasionally swap an easy meal for a sub. So like if I was for a sub-in meal, not for sub sandwich. I feel like I keep saying that. I should have used a different word. A substitute meal. So I will sub in a new meal instead of an easy meal, like during the week if I was going to try one. So my husband works a lot of hours currently, and unfortunately he really likes to cook for people. Usually like once a month he'll make a really good meat dinner, either like on the grill or in the smoker, and those are like our fanciest meals that we get. And honestly, they are more delicious than like most restaurant meals. So I'll call them a 5-star meal. Anyway, he starts a new job soon, and once he gets his feet under him, I'm hoping to recruit him to make one dinner each week, or like every other week. He doesn't know this yet, so if he's listening to this episode, surprise. Okay, last thing, organization-wise, I keep all of our freezer meal recipes and like sometimes sub-in recipes in a big binder printed off with page protectors. So it's like our easy meals are just kind of like off the top of my head, so obviously those aren't in there necessarily. And any meal that I sub in, I just am printing that off, and that will go in the binder if we like it enough, right? But I wanted to do something else. This just like worked out the best for right now, and it doesn't involve too much fuss, just like printing it off, right? I also have the Recipe Keeper app, where I do keep some meals that I find online, or some of our sub-in meals and stuff like that, and other things that we cook like cookies and breakfast breads and stuff like that. I really like this app, and I would love to eventually have everything in there. I just also like to see a printout of my recipes. Like I feel like, and I also wish the app had like better organization options. It's just not that great. But my favorite part is that you can see the picture in the app, and I'm a moody eater, so I love seeing a picture when I'm looking for food to eat. So basically what I wish could have happen is to have all my recipes in 2 forms. I want to have like all of them in the app and all of them printed, because I like to follow a recipe that's printed off. Like I don't want to have to be staring at my phone, but I also like to search for meals for the week by picture. So that would be my ideal situation. Anyway, it's called Recipe Keeper. So if you're an online person or like a phone person, that's a great app to keep your recipes in. I think there's like a one-time fee purchase for it, and but it's like super low, like $20 or something, and you get the app for free forever. It's like a lifetime membership or something crazy, and it's super cheap. So yeah, and then the cool part about this is like that app is like you just put the link in from anywhere online, and it downloads the app, like it downloads the recipe into the app. And so, you like just have it right there in all of your space, instead of having like a bookmark of all the links to recipes that you like and stuff. And I feel like sometimes people take things down and whatever, but it'll always be in your app once you kind of like put it in there. Anyway, back in the day, I feel like our parents just used to like use colorful magazine recipes, and these had like nice colorful pictures, and they're like printed off in my mom's binder, and we don't have a colored printer. So I digress. I just need like 2 forms of content, and it's my fault for being so moody and needing the picture to decide on food. Okay, now I'm just blabbing on. Anyway, that's all I really have to say about meals and meal planning. Thank you for coming to my TED Talk about food. I hope this was kind of helpful for the fellow I don't love cooking, but I like to eat healthy and delicious food mamas. So if you are listening on Apple Podcasts or like any other app, you would be doing us like a huge favor if you rated this show or put some worded review in there. At least a little rating of 5 stars would be great. We are kind of a brand new show, but I would love to get some more exposure. So that would be super helpful if you could do that. I used to have an old show. So if you're still listening, your review is no longer there. Your stars are no longer there because I just created a new whole show when I switched over to this name called Prepared Enough because I wanted it to be a little bit more specific. So that would be great if you could go back in there and give us a review. Thank you very much. Talk next time. Tash.